Welcome everyone, my name is Marjorie and welcome to my channel. In today's video I've got this picture frame from Hobby Lobby and I had a plastic coating instead of glass, and I had actually used it for another project and it broke, so I just took the plastic off and I am taking my Kills chalk paint in white and covering over the gray because I don't want any of that gray peeking out. Now I think I just give it one good coat and I let it dry, and then afterwards I will take a garden flag that I got from the Dollar Tree and I will just Mod Podge it on there. I do want to apologize for the video. I don't know what's going on with that brown line at the bottom of my video. I had to get a new tablet and install new editing videos, and so this is the first video that I've done with it. I don't know what's going on. I couldn't upload to YouTube anymore from my iPad for some reason, and so I never could figure it out, so I went ahead and just got another I just got a Samsung tablet, so I don't know, I think it was my iPad. But anyways, here I've got the garden flag with the cute little gnomes on it from the Dollar Tree, and like I said, I'm just gonna Mod Podge it on there, and I'm just gonna smooth everything out, let it dry, and then what I don't show is how I go back in with a box cutter and I just cut the excess edges off of the flag, and that make it all nice and pretty. Now I do take the string off and then that plastic tube in the middle, at the top of the flag, that way it makes it a whole lot easier. Now I did do a top coat of the Mod Podge, only because the fabric was so thin. I don't know. Something about it just made me want to do another layer. It's not going outside or anything, it's just staying inside the house as a wall piece, and I just thought it would be best for me to add another layer when I went to go cutting off the edges. So but as you'll see, there's that little tag that was on the package. I didn't throw that away, I actually used it in another project. Oh, well, I lied. I guess I do show you the cutting it off. I didn't think I was recording when I cut it off. I don't know. It was a long day. And I'm just going to set that aside and let it dry. This, excuse me, this little planter, a mini planter I had made, and I just painted over the welcome spring, and I'm just going to reuse it. So I'm using one of the calendars from last year, and I took the miniature size of the 4th of July printout and just Mod Podged it to the bottom. And then here I am cutting out that tag, and I'm going to do the same at the top. Again, guys, I apologize. The angle's not bad. It's just, I guess the camera needed to be a lot closer than what I normally had it, and I did not realize that you can't see the stuff very good. I apologize, guys. So after I have this Mod Podge, I do end up taking some jute cord and I just glue it around the bottom portion of the sign at the bottom, and then I just wrap it around a few times at the top and the bottom of the gnome piece at the top. And then you'll see later that I had just basically added a little boxwood and decorated it that way. And the good thing is that this little planter box matches the wall decor. I'm sorry for coughing and sounding bad. I'm getting over a sinus infection, and it's been pretty bad, but I'm getting better. And that project is done. So here I have 3 paint sticks, and I've got a couple of extra spare paint sticks. Just the scraps, and I hot glue them together to the 3 paint sticks, because what I'm doing is I'm making a door hanger, and I am making my own work frame, work rail. So then I just take some of the zip ties. I have the small ones that I have a bunch of, so I always just use those and double up on them. If you have the big ones, you can use the big ones. And then before I tighten everything down, I just take a chenille stem and I put it right in there in the middle and tighten it down. And then I tighten the chenille stem all the way down. That way it keeps it, not the chenille stem, the zip ties, and it keeps it in place. So I will put 5 of them on here. I just put 1 on each of the ends, 1 in the middle, and then I add the other 2 in between the middle portion and the end section. So once I have that done, I have just some spare leftover red 10-inch Deco mesh, and I'll go ahead and I cut 30-inch pieces. I cut 5 of them, one for each of the Chanel stems that we have, and it actually worked out perfectly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the woodland cruffle on here, where you just take and roll one side, about 3 times, put a little pin on, clothespin to hold it down, roll it up 3 times on the opposite side, and then you just walk it up with your fingers like you're doing a ruffle. Excuse me. And then I put each one of them into a Chanel stem. So once I have that done, I have some of the blue and the white Deco mesh from Dollar Tree, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut 4 strips at 40 inches, I believe I did. And then what I'll do is I will take each of the pieces and I will take one end and roll it in a couple of times. I'm so sorry. I'll fold it over on itself and pinch it up in the middle like I'm doing a ruffle, and then I'll just add it to the Chanel stem. So I fold it in half once, fold it in half again, and then walk my fingers up. And I do a crisscross when I add the 6-inch Deco mesh into the Chanel stems. And I alternate with the white being on the bottom with one, the blue on top, and then the next one will be the blue on bottom and the white on top. Now I do not put anything in the 5th Chanel stem because that is where we are going to be putting the bow. And the bow is going to be so big that it really doesn't need to have anything in that location. Now, I think this looks very full and very pretty. So right now I'm trying to figure out, I've got 2 signs from the Dollar Tree. Oh, nope, Hobby Lobby. And I've got this ribbon here from Hobby Lobby. And I've got a few other ribbons as well, but I just really wasn't really figuring out what I was going to do. So I do end up using the Stars and Stripes from Hobby Lobby. Then I've got this blue and like sheer 2-inch ribbon that I got from Walmart a couple years ago that I've been using after Christmas. And what I did is I cut 14-inch tails and I just dovetailed the ends, and now I'm putting a set of ribbons. So I'm folding it in half to find the middle, pinching the middle, and then adding it to the Chanel stem. Now I have this Deco tubing I had 90% off a couple years ago from Hobby Lobby. And what I'm going to do is just unravel it. And yes, I do just make a big mess with it first. It seemed like it was so much easier to do that way. And then I just find the two end pieces and I hold it on the one end and run up to find the opposite end. So I basically put it in half. I'm probably not explaining it very good, but I apologize. My brain is not working right yet. So after I found the other end, I cut that in half, and then I took those ends and then folded it again. So I basically cut each of these into 4 matching parts, almost equal parts. And that's all I do with the tubing. And then once I do that, I grab one color of each, and you'll see how I loop it here in just a little bit. So I take it and it's about 6 inches. I'm just folding it on itself, and the reason I'm doing this is because, for one, it's just going to add an extra character, and it just kind of reminded me of like fireworks, how it comes out of the door hanger exploding. I don't know, I know, just a little weird, but I thought they were so cute. Now the other thing I thought of is, if somebody were to do this, once you put all of those into the chenille stem, if you didn't like the loops, you could actually cut the loops in half and just have like the little strings coming out, kind of like a messy bow with Deco tubing. I don't know, but I like the loops on here, so just giving you another option if you choose to do this. Now all I'm doing is just fluffing out everything, making sure it looks nice. I go back in and I go back in and I put the chenille stems down, I tie them down. Now I'm going in and cutting 30-inch ribbons, and I'm doing 3 of each. So I'm using the same 2 ribbons I had, and then I had a 1.5 inch, like this brown, gold, tan looking one, and then I have this 2.5 inch red one, kind of like a burlap. And I just cut 30 inches of all of those. On the smaller ones, the 1 inch and the 2 inch, I believe I just cut the tails at an angle, whereas the 2.5 inch I dovetailed those. But I just right now I am just folding them in half, so now I can go back in and dovetail them. So now I'm taking the folded end and then measuring down 6 inches to make 6-inch loops. And then I'm just gathering all of the ribbons into my hand, where I'm just alternating the colors. I take a chenille stem and I take 2 more of those zip ties and run them together so I can zip tie all of the loops along with the chenille stems into place. Now right there in the 5th, where the middle or the 5th layer of the red deco mesh is, where we didn't add anything, I just open it up in there and I add the bow with the chenille stem. And then here I'm just fluffing out the bow, alternating where the loops need to go along with the tails, and making sure that all of the pretty sides of the tails are showing up and not the back side. So we do have to end up twisting some of those just to make sure that the good side is showing upward. Now here, this is the sign that I decide I'm going to use, and I got it from Hobby Lobby. It was 90% off a couple years ago, and I've had it and just didn't know what to do with it. So now I decided to use it as the hanger. I got these extra large scrap pieces of the 5-gallon paint stir sticks that I just glue onto the back, and then I glue on to the work rail of the door hanger, and I use it as that. So for the next project, this is a MDF Texas sign, and guys, I live in Texas, so I thought this would be a nice little addition for me to add. And all I do is I take some chalk paint in white and paint the entire thing white. I do give it a couple of coats because I didn't really want the background to show through. I wanted the colors of the paint, which, had I thought about it, because I do end up distressing this, then it probably would have been okay for me not to do such a couple of coats, make sure everything was all nice and stark white. So once I paint everything white, I'll take some painter's tape and I will section off pieces of the project so I can paint the blue and the red portions of the sign. And all I do is I just use some apple barrel acrylic paint. That's just what I had on hand. And I did do a couple of coats because it just, I don't know, this is one reason I like using acrylic, but I prefer chalk paint, is because it's kind of streaky looking. And so I had to go back and do 2 coats to make sure everything was nice and dark. So I'm just showing you here how I do go and I do paint the edges, all the edges of the sign. I just don't do the back. So here I just have some red from Folk Art, and I love Folk Art paint. But I just paint the top portion of the Texas sign red. And then I'll paint the edges too. Can't remember if I did 2 coats of this or not. I wouldn't be surprised if I did. So here I was trying to write home with my pencil like I always do, and it just wasn't working. So I took one of those silver glass markers from the Dollar Tree and just wrote home. And then I took one of the silver paint markers from Dollar Tree, and I just started going over the letters and making them look a little nicer. Now, I don't really like how the the marker painted over the acrylic. It was like it was taking the acrylic paint off, and I don't really know why it was doing it. The paint was dry, but then I started getting like red streaks with the white, and well, when that happened, that's when I kind of decided that I need to go in with the antique wax and kind of distress this a little bit. I was trying to hide some of that paint that red paint that was getting moved around. So here you just see me taking one of those stencil brushes from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going over the edges first, and then I'm going to go over the rest of the sign. And then what I'll do too is I'll take the Dollar Tree sponge brush, and I'll go over it. I'll sand it a little bit just to give it a little more rustic look. I kind of like how it turned out. My husband didn't really like the distressing that I did on the brown on there, but that's okay. He likes the majority of my stuff, but I don't expect him to like everything. So here I'm just taking 3 ribbons, and I'm just going to make a bow and put it at the very top of the sign, and just to give it a little more decoration. Now you could definitely stop here. You could actually even go with a smaller bow than what I put on there, but because I like big fluffy bows, I don't know how to make small bows. That's one of the things I struggle with, and when I do try to make a small bow, then I don't know, I just always don't think it looks very well. But I make the loops first, and then I attach the tails, and here I am just fluffing my bow out. And then I will trim the edges to make it look all nice and pretty. And then, like I said, I'll just attach it to the top of the sign and be done with it. Now I do add just a dab of glue just to make sure it stays in place. Now for the next DIY, this is a red Dollar Tree plastic tray that I got. And so I put some Mod Podge on there because it was plastic and I didn't think the paint would stick on there very well. And I just used a brush that had like some white paint on it and stuff, so that's why it looks streaky like that. But that was actually, I really did like that. So you'll see that I kind of try to keep that look when it comes to the tray, doing the red and the white portion of the tray. And all I do here is just give this a good couple of coats I do paint the sides, but I don't paint the bottoms. As you see, some of the Mod Podge came up with the painter's tape, but that's okay. So then here I'm just going to put some painter's tape down for my stripes that I can do. So I'll put one piece on there, and then I'll use like some spacing tape, and then I'll put another piece on to make the other stripe, and then I'll just repeat the same steps until the tray has all of the painter's tape on there correctly, so I can make my stripes. So here I'm just going to give it a good couple of coats of the white chalk paint from Kills, and then when I'm done with that, I'll also go back and do a full cover of Mod Podge over all of the paint again. So here I am taking the painter's tape off, and it does take some of the blue paint off, but it's okay. Kind of just went with a little rustic look. So I have this star garland from the Dollar Tree, and first I decided, well, let me see if I can cover that imperfection up, but I couldn't do it. So I'm just pulling these stars off, and I'm gonna just line them up, and the acrylic paint was a little sticky, so I didn't really have to worry about putting the Mod Podge on there first, because it stuck pretty good. As you see, I have to use this tool to pick it back up to adjust the placing of it. So I just added a few rows of stars on there, and I didn't worry about covering up the mistake where the paint had pulled up. Now here's where I tried to pull some of that Mod Podge up off the red, and it didn't really work, so I decided to go ahead and cover the blue part in Mod Podge. Here I just take some white, a paintbrush with some white paint on it, and I'm trying to give it, I guess, like a whitewash look to it, and I think it turned out pretty good. It wasn't I guess I should have maybe did it to the blue part, but I didn't. But either way, I still like how it came out. So for my next projects, I've got this tablecloth from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to cut out some of the squares that are on there. Now I had these Jenga blocks that I had already kind of put together for another project that I was going to try to do, but it didn't work out because, of course, the Jenga blocks aren't even. So what I'm doing here is I'm just taking those Jenga blocks and breaking them into a section of 6, and then I will, like I said, I will take and cut out a couple of these rectangle designs. That way I can go ahead and Mod Podge them onto the Jenga blocks. So with the first set, I'm actually going to take and paint it white, just the sides and the front portion, And then I'm gonna Mod Podge that piece of the tablecloth right on top. Y'all, I don't know about you, but as you could tell, my workspace is a hot mess. When I do multiple DIYs in one day like this, oh my gosh, guys, it's horrible. I just have to have everything close to me, and I don't know what I'm gonna do. A lot of times my DIYs are kind of sporadic. I don't really know what I'm gonna do. Like when I sat down to do these today, I didn't realize I was gonna do these projects like right here. I didn't realize I was gonna do the tray. So I just keep a big stack of stuff to do that I could work with. So as you see, I take this another section of the Jenga blocks and I just use some antique wax on it, and then I put the Mod Podge on there so I could take this Home of the Brave piece that I cut out of the tablecloth and Mod Podge that right on top. So here's all the projects done. Here's my Texas sign. Here is the door hanger. I think it turned out so cute. And then here are all my other little decor pieces that I made. I really enjoyed making this video, and I thank you guys for stopping by and watching, and you have a blessed day.